I'm Mike Sullivan. You know, the last couple of weeks we've been working on doing some things to help you stop slicing. A couple weeks ago we talked about your club face angle, and last week we talked about your swing path. And here's a little link to the video right here to take a look at last week's video. Okay, so now that you've been working on swinging the club on the correct path with a square club face, well, the next thing we got to do is we got to make sure you're aiming that thing in the right direction. And here's the thing: if your aim is no good, your supercomputer up here just isn't going to allow you to swing on the correct path anyway. So it sounds simple, but it's unbelievably important. So take a look at how we're going to help you get the right aim to hit your target. Okay, so we're working on getting rid of the slice. The last few videos we put out, we talked about number one, the club face, number two, the path, and now we're going to talk about something equally as important as all that. We're going to talk about alignment. And if you watched the last video, you'll notice I had one stick on the ground here. And I did this a little bit as kind of a trick. And I do it in some of my golf classes, okay? So I'll oftentimes put a stick right here, and I will put a ball on a tee. Look, we got a tee here left over from before. All right, and I will say to my student or group of students, okay, can you tell me where I'm aiming right now? And what people will do is they will get right behind this stick, right back over here. I know I'm going to get behind the camera here, but they'll get back behind this stick, look straight up there. And this stick right now is going up towards, and it always looks a little different on the camera, but it's going up towards the 200-yard sign out there. So maybe through the miracle of special effects, we'll draw a line to the 200. But in fact, my target line is not on this orange line, okay? My target line is parallel to that. My target line is up here, straight out that way. So I'm going to put another stick down. I'm going to put this kind of greenish yellow stick down. So we'll look at this yellow stick, and I'm going to put this right on a line that is parallel to my foot line, okay? Now, when you play golf on the golf course, you don't decide to line up parallel to your feet, you pick out a target. But on the practice range, I find it pretty helpful to go ahead and get my feet set and then change my target, especially when I'm taking divots, because I don't have to keep moving the target line around, okay? So I got to move this a little bit. So I want to get these two sticks parallel to each other, okay? I'm just going to get a better vantage point behind the camera. Okay, great. So now I'm aiming just a couple feet left. There's a 250-yard sign in the back of the range. So this is my target line. That yellow line is my target line. This is here so that I can get my feet set equidistant from this stick, which is parallel to my target line. So my feet, hips, shoulders are all now parallel to my target line. Now, depending on the shot I hit, I may not want to aim to hit it perfectly straight. I may make some little adjustments, but I've got to know where I'm going, okay? You know, in this little series we're doing about getting rid of the slice, people play with a chronically open club face, and they play lined up way to the right all the time. And that club face that's wide open and that right alignment for a right-handed golfer, it promotes this out to in swing, and it makes them hit pulls and it makes them hit slices. And the way that the clubs work, your pitching wedge, you might pull it a little bit, and then the driver, you're probably going to slice a lot. And people think they're pretty good with their short clubs, and it's just the driver that's getting in trouble. But what's happening is really the pre-swing fundamentals that are off, they're noticing it more in the longer clubs, and it makes it really, really tough to figure things out. Okay, so every time you hit balls, you want to practice this way. So let me go through this here real quick. So I'm going to get my alignment. Okay, I know exactly where that thing is going. Get my club face square to that. Get my feet equidistant. Now every time I look up and I know where I'm going, I'm learning about good alignment. Like I'm inherently, habitually lining up correctly. So people who have bad alignment, they habitually line up pretty much the same way. So I'm building the correct habit. And all the time I have people that say to me, well, on the golf course I can't put these sticks down, so how good is this when practicing? Well, look at it this way. If I took you into some great big huge building with all kinds of twists and turns in the hallways and told you to get to a certain place, and I put a tape on the floor, you follow the tape, and you follow that tape every day for 5 months. Keep getting to the same room. And then one day I pick up the tape. Through habit, you'd probably find yourself to the room. Okay? So it's the same type of a thing. We're just building good habits. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. And let's see what kind of result I get based on my actual alignment. So that one started left. That was just not one that I really love. It started left. I'm just going to hit another one. I'm not going to panic about it. That's another thing I would say is, when you're working on stuff, give yourself a couple swings. It's like my 4th swing of the day. Probably should be warming up with a pitching wedge or something, right? All right. That's a lot better. Teeny bit left. Teeny bit left. Okay, so it sounds simple. It seems way too easy. It's not complicated. But boy, it's so much easier. Like this game is going to be so much easier for you if you take all the stuff that requires no skill and get really good at it. You get really good at the easy stuff, then you add skill, the game is so much easier. All right? So good alignment. You see the pros doing it. We have to do it too. I hope that helps. We'll see you next time.